Hello, I'm Sue. Today I'm going to introduce you to 7 real objects that are either haunted or cursed. Let's start with the first one, the Swansea Devil. This is a wooden statue, and it was created by a man in Swansea. This statue is often referred to as the Swansea Devil or Old Nick, and the curse of this statue is tied to the following story. Around the 1890s, there was a rather old church in Swansea. Many people believed that the church needed to be rebuilt, so they requested that everyone submit their designs and the best design would be chosen. At that time, there was a man named Arthur Blomfield, a very famous architect. That day, many people submitted their designs, and Arthur Blomfield's design was selected, so he was very pleased. But then something happened. Among the design submissions, there was another man. This man was very angry because his design was not chosen, and he felt that his talent had been underestimated, so he became very bitter. Later, the church was rebuilt according to Arthur Blomfield's design. A few years later, a row of houses next to the church went up for sale, and the bitter man from that day bought the row of houses. He tore them down and built a brewery in their place, then placed a wooden statue he had carved on top of it. The statue faced the church, and he cursed that when the church was destroyed and burned down, his statue would still be sitting there, laughing. In 1941, during World War II, the church was bombed and suffered heavy damage, even burning down. However, the wooden statue of the man remained untouched, so it can be said that his curse came true. When the war ended, the church was rebuilt according to Arthur's original design. The brewery was demolished, and the statue was lost. Later, a man found the statue and placed it back in its original location. Then, the site of the statue was developed into a shopping center, and the owner brought the statue to the museum. Currently, this statue is on display at the Swansea Museum. In general, this statue only has a curse related to the church and that time, so it can be said that it is not too frightening at present.
Coming to the second object, it is called Buzzby's chair. This chair is said to carry an extremely dreadful curse, related to the following story. Around the 1702nd, there was a man named Thomas Buzzby, who is also the main character of this story. There was another man, much older than Buzzby, named Daniel Oddie. The houses of these two men were quite close to each other. One day, Buzzby stopped by Daniel's house, and the two talked. After chatting for a while, Buzzby discovered that Daniel was making counterfeit money. Daniel immediately persuaded Buzzby to join him in counterfeiting money, and Buzzby agreed. From then on, the two often made counterfeit money at Daniel's house. Daniel had a daughter, and when Buzzby worked with him many times, he also got to know her and developed feelings for her. The two fell in love and got married. Everything went smoothly for Buzzby, until one day, a shocking incident occurred. That day, Buzzby returned home drunk and saw his father-in-law, Daniel, sitting in the house with an angry expression. Daniel said that Buzzby had treated his daughter very badly, so the two began to argue. While drunk, Buzzby and Daniel fought, and Daniel was knocked outside. After that, he got up and decided to go home to talk after Buzzby sobered up. However, Buzzby was extremely angry at the time and made a wrong decision. He took a hammer, walked to Daniel's house, and murdered him right there. Later, the police discovered Daniel's body, and in 1702, Buzzby was arrested and sentenced to death. Before his execution, Buzzby was allowed to drink at his favorite tavern. He sat in a chair, drank, stood up, pointed at the chair, and cursed, "Whoever sits in this chair will die." Not long after, another man entered the pub, sat in Buzzby's chair, drank, and went home. He was later murdered by a friend. A construction worker also sat in this chair, and a few hours later, when he returned to work on the roof, he accidentally slipped and died that same day. There were even some pilots who sat in Buzzby's chair, and when they went to war, they never returned. It is believed that Buzzby's chair caused the deaths of around 60 people. Later, the pub was bought by another man. He knew the stories about the chair, so he took it to the museum to avoid danger. Currently, Buzzby's chair is on display at the Thirsk Museum, hanging high up so that no one can sit in it. Sometime later, a historian studied the chair and concluded that it was crafted around 1840, while Buzzby was executed in 1702. This meant that the chair and Buzzby were not directly related. However, the accidents involving the chair all occurred after 1840, so even if it was not linked to Buzzby, the chair itself was still considered to carry a dreadful curse. Coming to the third object, it is the Hope Diamond. This is a fairly large diamond, weighing about 45.52 carats, with a deep blue color due to some impurities inside. This diamond is said to carry a curse that has brought bad luck to many people. Its story begins around 1653, when a Frenchman named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a diamond trader, went to a diamond mine in India and discovered this blue diamond. As soon as he saw it, he decided he had to buy it. At that time, the King of France was Louis XIV. Tavernier brought the blue diamond to sell to the king. The king liked it very much and bought it, naming it the French blue. Later, Louis XIV developed severe gangrene and died from the disease. The next owners were Louis XVI, grandson of Louis XIV, and his wife, Queen Marie Antoinette. Both were publicly executed during the French Revolution. After that event, the diamond was lost. Somehow, it left France and ended up in England. Between 1830 and 1839, the diamond was owned by the Hope family, first by Henry Philip Hope, then passed down to Thomas Hope, then Henrietta Adela Hope, and finally to Lord Francis Hope. Due to its long history in the family, the stone was named the Hope Diamond. Lord Francis Hope's wife was May Yohe, a famous opera singer. After owning the diamond, she went through many marriages and divorces, and died in poverty. The diamond later belonged to Edward Beale Maclean, a powerful newspaper magnate, and his wife, Evelyn Walsh Maclean, a famous woman. After owning the diamond, Edward became mentally ill, and Evelyn contracted pneumonia, which led to her death. The last owner was Harry Winston, a renowned jeweler. Instead of keeping the stone, he donated it to the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History in the United States, where it remains on display to this day. The Hope Diamond is also rumored to have brought misfortune to many others, but these are just a few notable cases. In fact, the mysterious stories surrounding the stone tend to spark curiosity and attract people to admire it rather than scare them away.
The fourth object is the Okiku doll. This is a story that took place in Japan, in the Hokkaido region. According to Japanese folklore, the story goes like this. In 1918, there was a little girl named Okiku. One day, her brother gave her a doll. As soon as she received it, she became very fond of it. Not long after, something tragic happened. Okiku passed away from a cold. The family set up an altar for her and placed her favorite doll on it, naming it Okiku. They often prayed for her there. After that, strange phenomena began to occur. There were many noises in the house, whispering voices, and especially, the doll's hair began to grow. At first, these signs scared the family, but then they believed that Okiku's soul resided inside the doll, so they were no longer afraid. Later, when the family moved away, they wanted to leave the doll near the girl's grave, so they sent it to the nearby Meninji temple and asked the monks to take care of it. Currently, the Okiku doll's hair continues to grow, and the monks regularly trim it. Many people visit the doll in this area, but they are not allowed to take pictures. Overall, this is a story that is more sorrowful than scary. The fifth object is the Robert doll. Robert now wears a white sailor suit, but originally, he did not have this outfit. The story of Robert's curse begins in 1904, when a boy named Robert Eugene Otto lived in Key West, Florida. One day, his grandfather gave him a doll bought from Germany. The boy loved the gift so much that he named it Robert. To avoid confusion, from now on I will refer to the boy as Otto and the doll as Robert. Whenever something bad happened in the house, Otto blamed Robert. This led people to believe that the doll started to have feelings. One day, when a group of children passed by Otto's house and looked up at the window, they saw the doll sitting in the room. Later, the Robert doll moved from place to place, frightening them. On several occasions, visitors to the house noticed that if the Robert doll was nearby, its facial expression seemed to change depending on the conversation. After Otto's death, the house was sold to a new owner.
He kept Robert in the house for some time before donating him to the Key West Museum of History and Art. Today, Robert is displayed in a glass case, dressed in a white sailor suit, said to have belonged to Otto when he was a child. The museum has received many apology letters addressed to Robert, from people who believe they have had bad luck after interacting with the doll, such as losing a job, getting into a car accident, or getting divorced, because they either accidentally or intentionally disrespected him. As a result, visitors to Robert try to show respect. Robert also holds a small stuffed dog. The origin of this item is unclear. Some say it was Otto's toy, while others believe it was added to enhance the mystery. However, the most terrifying part is the Robert doll itself. Coming to the sixth object, it is Annabelle doll. When mentioning Annabelle, people often think of a porcelain doll that appears in horror movies. In fact, the movie Annabelle was inspired by a real Annabelle doll, and this real doll was made of cloth, formed after the character Raggedy Ann in American comics and children's toys. The story of the real Annabelle took place in 1970. At that time, a young nursing student named Donna was given a doll by her mother on her birthday. Donna brought the doll back to her rented room where she lived with a friend. From here, many strange things began to happen. One day, the two girls left the doll on the sofa and went out. When they returned, Donna discovered that the doll had disappeared from the sofa and appeared in the bedroom, even though no one had put it there. Similar incidents repeated, such as strange pieces of paper with the words, "Help me," written on paper that did not exist in the house. Frightened, Donna invited a medium to come and see the doll. She said that the doll contained the spirit of a little girl named Annabelle, and that the spirit only wanted to be loved and cared for. If Donna and her friend agreed to take care of it, everything would be fine. However, the situation still made both of them worried. At this time, the famous couple Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren appeared. They were paranormal investigators and collectors of spiritual objects. Donna contacted them, and the couple came and took the doll away. Annabelle was then displayed at the Warren family's occult museum with a warning sign that read, "Do not open the glass case." The entire story was told by Edward Warren, so it is uncertain how true or false it is. Some people claim that Warren's collection was fake, but there is no denying that Annabelle inspired a series of famous horror films. Warren's museum eventually closed, and all the items inside were moved elsewhere. No one knows where Annabelle is now. It could be right here. Coming to the seventh object, it is the Dybbuk box. This is a small box designed in the shape of a cabinet, and it is usually used to store wine inside. The story of this box took place in 2003, when it was listed for sale on the eBay website, and the seller also posted a story related to it. The story said that this box belonged to a Jewish person who had survived the Nazi genocide, and that inside the box was a Dybbuk spirit. According to Judaism, a Dybbuk is a spirit that is very dangerous and often takes possession of other people's bodies, so it is clear that this box is very dangerous. But many people still bought it, and after this box was put up for sale, it was bought and sold to many people, and all of them said that the box had caused many strange things to happen to them. But all of this later became meaningless, because there was a man named Kevin Manus who was the first to find this box, put it up for sale on eBay, and make up everything about it himself. Later, the box was carefully examined, and they discovered that it was made in New York. So all the stories related to this box are almost unreal. There is an additional sharing that ever since I was a child, I had heard about this box, and I was extremely scared. I don't know why, but every time I looked at this box, I felt very afraid, maybe because I didn't know what might be inside. But now that I am grown up, together with this story, fortunately, I am no longer afraid of the box. And the box also became an inspiration for the production of a few films. Okay, and those are the 7 stories of 7 cursed objects, and hopefully after watching this video, you can still sleep well. Okay, and now, bye.